Look at your hands. Now observe that scrap of paper nearby, a napkin or a notebook margin. To the world, these are just idle doodles, but to those who study the aesthetic of the trace, this AI-generated story reveals a map of shadows. We use the lens of Art Brut, the raw, unfiltered visions born in the silence of old asylums, to show you a code about your internal state. This is a profound form of art where the conscious hand has surrendered control to the subconscious. While you were distracted, your mind began to paint a portrait of your anxiety and your deepest fears. It is the most honest mental health test you will ever take. Subscribe now to join our community and explore the mysteries of the mind with us. Look at your hands. Now, observe that scrap of paper nearby, a napkin or a notebook margin. To the world, these are just idle doodles, but to those who study the aesthetic of the trace, this AI-generated story reveals a map of shadows. We use the lens of Art Brut, the raw, unfiltered visions born in the silence of old asylums, to show you a code about your internal state. This is a profound form of art where the conscious hand has surrendered control to the subconscious. While you were distracted, your mind began to paint a portrait of your anxiety and your deepest fears. It is the most honest mental health test you will ever take. Subscribe now to join our community and explore the mysteries of the mind with us. Let's speak of the most haunting symbol, the eye. Why do you draw them? Perhaps it is a hyper-realistic eye, painted with the microscopic precision of Jan van Eyck. In this AI-generated analysis, the eye represents surveillance. If you draw eyes repeatedly, you are projecting a sense of being judged or evaluated. We live in an era of digital scrutiny, and your subconscious knows it. A large detailed eye is a visual symptom of high alert, social paranoia rendered in ink. Conversely, a closed or crossed out eye is a silent scream for the need to disappear from a reality that is unbearable to look at. Subscribe to continue decoding the human experience with us. Geometric shapes, cubes, grids, and bricks seem harmless, but they are the architecture of your defense. Deep psychological analysis suggests that rigid structures are the refuge of a mind seeking stability. If your doodles are architectural, building walls or brick patterns, you are constructing a mental fortress. You are trying to contain your emotions so they don't overflow into the chaos of daily life. In this AI-crafted vision, we see these shapes as the blueprints of your resilience. They are the barricades you build to protect your inner peace from an unpredictable world. Subscribe now to join us as we trace the maps of the soul. There is a dark twist to your geometric fortresses. If those cubes start to look distorted, or if the brick walls appear broken and jagged, your emotional barriers are failing. In this AI-generated narrative, we see the cracked oil effect. Like the crackle on a 15th century Flemish panel, it means you are under so much stress that your mental stronghold is showing structural failures. Your subconscious is warning you that the protection you've built is no longer enough. The cracks are where the truth begins to leak out, showing the vulnerability you try so hard to hide. Subscribe to discover what your own shadows are trying to tell you. The spiral is a movement that never ends, energy folding in on itself. This is the terrain of dangerous introspection. In this AI-crafted artistic study, the direction matters. If your spirals flow smoothly from the outside toward the center, you are seeking calm and focus. But if the spiral starts from a tense point and expands uncontrollably with erratic, jagged strokes, you are looking at the visual trace of rumination. This is the circular thought, a worry or a trauma repeating in your head without an exit. It is the whirlpool that precedes the storm of anxiety. Don't forget to subscribe to follow this journey through the dark. Beyond the spiral lies the labyrinth. While the spiral is a loop, the labyrinth is the representation of being trapped. If you draw paths that cross and end in dead ends, your subconscious is telling you that you feel lost in a major life decision. No matter how hard you try, you feel like you are always returning to the same starting point. This AI-generated story views the labyrinth as a map of your confusion. It is the art of the lost self, trying to find a way out of a maze built by your own indecision and fear of the future. Subscribe now and hit the bell for more artistic revelations. In art, the weight of the hand is as important as the color. If you notice that your pen has left a deep groove on the following page, or if you have torn the paper, you are witnessing a discharge of repressed aggression. In this AI-crafted analysis, we call this the kinesthetic scream. Anger is an emotion we often hide behind a mask of professional courtesy, but the paper knows no manners. That excessive pressure is your nervous system releasing accumulated muscular tension. It is a silent performance executed by your hand, so your brain doesn't have to explode. Subscribe to join this community seeking the truth behind the obvious. Nature symbols like flowers and stars often mask deep complexity. Many think drawing a flower is a sign of a cheerful personality, but in this AI-generated artistic study, the reality is more subtle. A flower with an intensely dark center or petals that look like thorns reveals an internal contradiction. It is the portrait of a person trying to appear blooming and kind to the world, while dealing with a sharp, stinging pain or a lack of self-esteem inside. The beauty of the flower is a shield. The darkness at its heart is the truth you are afraid to share. Subscribe and activate the bell to continue our exploration. Name clouds and stars are indicators of a mind in suspension. If your clouds are shaded, heavy, or filled with lightning, depression or fear of the future is present. But if the clouds are fluffy and light, you might be using fantasy as an escape route to avoid facing real-world problems. In this AI-crafted Flemish aesthetic, the sky represents your emotional horizon. Are you looking for light, or are you lost in the fog of your own imagination? Your doodles are the weather report of your soul, showing if you are grounded or drifting away from reality. Subscribe to explore the mysteries hidden behind what we call reality. Arrows are vectors of energy, pointing to where your mind is anchored. If your arrows point upwards, you have an ambitious, achievement-oriented mindset. But if they are everywhere, that ambition has become an unbearable pressure for success. If they point right, you look to the future this AI-generated story, that is the trace of a mind anchored in the past, the art of regret, looking back at what could have been, and arrows pointing down. Your energy is spent, you feel heavy, as if the gravity of your problems is stronger than your will to rise. Subscribe now to learn more about the art of the mind. Modern life is a fragmented experience, and our doodles often reflect this explosion of the self. Sometimes we don't draw whole shapes, but pieces, a hand here, a word there, a gear that connects to nothing in this AI-crafted narrative. This is called fragmented thought. We jump from task to task, notification to notification, and our mind feels like a puzzle with missing pieces. If your drawings have no unity and look like debris, it is a clear warning of burnout. Your brain is losing the ability to integrate information, and your identity is dissolving under external demands. Subscribe to find the pieces of your own map. Have you ever drawn something and then immediately covered it with thick, dark ink until it disappeared? This AI-generated analysis views this not as boredom, but as censorship. It represents a deep conflict with your own self-image or your thoughts. You are afraid of what has come out of your subconscious, and you feel the need to erase it, to hide it, to destroy it. It is the trace of a fierce internal critic. When you cross out your own work obsessively, ask yourself, what am I so afraid for others or even myself to discover? The blot is the shadow's mask. Subscribe to join us in the search for the light. Presence or absence of human figures says everything about your social connection. If you avoid people and retreat into abstract patterns, you may be experiencing social disconnection. But if you do draw people, look at their anatomy through this AI-crafted lens. Do they have feet? Feet represent our roots, our connection to reality. Figures without feet suggest you feel adrift, without a solid base. And the hands are our tools for action. If they are hidden or missing, your subconscious is telling you that you feel powerless to change your current situation. Your art is a scream for agency. Subscribe to decode the secrets your brain hides from you. As this AI-generated journey through the Flemish shadows ends, remember that health is not a state of perpetual peace. It is the ability to navigate your own darkness. The artists of the Prinzhorn collection didn't draw for fame. They drew so their minds wouldn't collapse under the weight of their visions. Your paper full of ugly and messy doodles is more valuable than a blank page, because it contains your undomesticated essence. It is the part of you that is still wild and refuses to be silenced. Your chaos is proof that you are processing life. Subscribe to our channel, keep your hand loose, and remember, even in the deepest shadow, there is always a trace that leads back to the light.